Hi everyone, welcome to After Class with Ballet for All,
a podcast by two passionate adult ballerinas about all things adult ballet related.
and some random thoughts in between.
We're so glad you're here.
So grab your water bottle
Or a cup of coffee.
and join us for a quick chat after class.
Hi, Elena. How are you?
Hello, all good, Hannah, thank you. How are you doing today?
Good. I'm tired after we had a really good center class today, which was great. So
That was really awesome.
today's episode is on creating a warm-up routine. And I think this is a really important topic especially for adults, really for anyone, but especially adults, just because our bodies aren't as young as they once were. And usually that means that we need to take care of them and be mindful. And so having a good warm-up routine is essential for that. So today we're going to talk through how to create a warm-up routine that'll really serve you for just doing your best in class and preventing injury and all those types of things. So
Yeah. So we need to understand that, yes, we have at least in our class, we have one exercise which we call warm up. And it does focus on your toes, your upper body, it's focusing on your hips and all that. But it's very generic, it's very general. It's not a specific of you, of how you need to work for your body to be ready. Very personalized routine. And we need to understand that when we think of warm up, at least kids, they immediately think of doing flexibility, stretch, full on splits. And that's not the case. It's not true. Warm up is meant to help with the cardio. So we need to have a little bit of cardio. It's meant to have your blood like really flowing and really pumping in your body. You need to focus on group muscles specific of your body. Like in your case, Hannah, you have your lower back, and would you just go straight only to splits? No, really. You will focus on something that gets warm, a little bit warmer for your back. Then we need to think about it's not just flexibility and stretching, but it's also getting ready for the class that is going to happen. So it's not just physically, but also mentally. That in my case, if I go straight to the ballet class without doing any prior warm-up, I'm fully relying on how I'm going to feel in the first two exercises and how my body is going to warm up to then react to the rest of the class. So it kind of sets the mood and your mental readiness, not just the body and physical, but your mental readiness for the rest of the class. Do you really want to get to the class straight to the first exercise and be like, oh no, what am I doing here? And then that will set the entire tone of the class. So that's why warm-up are so important. Right before class, at least 10, 15 minutes. And it doesn't need to be a long warm-up. We are going to talk actually today on how we can create a short and a long warm-up. So the same, but if you one day only have 5 minutes, you can get it done.
it's so helpful to I think have a routine kind of pre-crafted in your mind, so that when you get into class, or if you're taking class at home, into your garage or whatever space you're taking class in, you kind of come in knowing exactly what you want to achieve before class starts. Otherwise, I think warming up, there's so many different exercises you can do, right? Like there's just a never-ending, list of warm-ups that you can do. And so having a set list that's really tailored to you and your needs can really help you have a focus for getting your body ready for class.
Yeah. So, as we said before, the importance of the warm-up is to really have that flow of the blood on your muscles which once you get the blood flowing on your muscles, you have a bigger chance of having a little bit more flexibility. You can stretch a little bit longer, a little bit more durable stretches. You can last a little bit longer in those positions. Then you can go to the second part, which is the cardiovascular system, getting the heart rate up. And then third, it's what we said, mentally prepare to go into what is going to be your body doing. So the demand of the ballet class, like that day you might only have point class, so you just get ready specifically for that. And it's very important that you understand your own body before class. Like in your case, Hannah, we said before, it's your lower back. In my case, sometimes I feel my thighs really, really tight. So I need to stretch thighs and hamstrings. I will have exercises I still have to do my cardio. I still have to do my stretches. But then because it's my body and it's what I feel today, I'm going to target those group muscles over there so I can last a little bit longer on my ballet class. So those are very important um, points that we need to have in mind when we do a warm-up routine. And then components of how to develop your warm-up routine. We can get to that now. For instance, first, make sure that you do cardiovascular warm-up, like a little bit of cardiovascular, very general, just some jumping jacks, maybe a little bit of like hands up and down, then jumping on the, what is it called, the rope? Jumping rope?
Oh, jump rope, yeah.
Yeah, something very simple as that. And maybe you want to do, I can do some jumps in parallel position just because you want to start pointing your toes and getting a little bit more like up, and why not to do a ballet exercise for that, right? So what would you use, Hannah, as a cardiovascular exercises for getting that stamina or your heart rate a little bit up?
Yeah, when I'm at home, I use our elliptical. We have one of those elliptical machines in our gym, and I love that for just starting to my warm up. Like I'll just jump on that, and a lot of times I only do 5 minutes. If I have a little more time, I'll do 10. And exactly what you said, just to kind of get the blood flowing. So that's my preferred cardiovascular warm up is the elliptical.
Perfect. And there's so many options. Like exactly, I was just saying doing simple jumping jacks, but if you have a machine at home that you want to do, perfect. Now, this would be your first component to think about when you're doing that warm-up. Then we can go straight to some dynamic stretches. So your point two, rather than doing anything that is just static there, the stretching, let's do a dynamic stretch. That can be between torso twist, so you are not just fully bending to the side and holding, rather you are just twisting, and at the same time you're activating a little bit of core muscle, but you are warming up as you're activating those muscles. Then you're doing leg swings, so you're not just going over your hips, flexors up, forward and back, but you're actually activating a little bit of glute muscles because you have to rotate and you have to keep the upright positioning, you have to pull the supporting leg. So leg swings, maybe circle of your arms. You're not just holding arms by your side, but you're doing a little bit of circle. So it's giving you that stretch. We can give you many, many examples, but if you go on Google and you just check dynamic stretches for a warm-up, you will have a long list there. That would be your second component of your warm-up. Now, the third component, and everyone will love this one, is the joint mobilization, or let's say mobility, right?
Mm-hmm.
We need to pay attention, especially in ballet, to our joints. Let's say our hips are the number one. Everyone will be like, yes, my hips, flexors, I need to, yes, embryo, we need to warm up those. But what about shoulders? What about your waist? What about your knees, your ankles, especially ankles? We really need to mobilize those, yeah? So it's not just going straight to your hips. Then we have another component, which we could talk about core activation. So everything that we already done, we can actually, again, incorporate your core activation. So in ballet, I keep telling you all in my classes, I do believe that if you don't pay too much attention at the beginning, so we're going to talk about that in another episode where is specific goals for dancers. The main goal that you should have is your body alignment. And this is related to core. How is it related? If you think about right now, stand up, put your legs together and just open chest. Don't do anything else. Engage your core and you will see how your hips are rotating, how your pelvis goes in a neutral position immediately without even activating your glute muscle. So core is essential in ballet. If you use your core, you use your abs. I know that abs and cores are different things, but they are all connected. So if you connect your core muscles, for sure, your body alignment improves at least at 35%, at least. To me, I would say the 75%, but that would be a very important point to have there. Now, the most important component here would be specific muscle groups to focus on. And that is going to go to bring you down to that, to your target muscles. Yeah? We've done a very generic warm-up up to now. You did, let's say, 5 minutes of very generic warm-up. Anyone can do this. Now, you need to learn what it needs to be specific to you. You had a sprained ankle, or you hurt your knee in last week's class, you need to focus on that. How do you warm up that specific knee? Is only your knee, or maybe your hamstrings and your glute muscles are connecting and that's what is pulling through your knee? Is it your calf, which is pulling because you did too many exercises and somehow it's connecting to your knee and it's pulling all the way to the knee? So you need to kind of, if you have the time to go to a physio, that would be great. Otherwise, a great warm-up that focus on your legs, your glutes, your hamstrings, and everything around the knee, that would be great. What do you think, Hannah?
Yeah, you brought up a really good point because I hadn't even thought about this until you were saying it, but it's so true that so often when we're warming up, what we need to be focusing on is the areas that are going to help our weak areas. So like I know for me with having low back issues, what really helps me to take the pressure off my back is to be doing core activation work. And so getting my core activated, and that also to like doing hip work. Everything is so interconnected in our bodies that, yeah, it's so important to be not just thinking about the problem areas, the problem areas themselves, but also the areas around them that support those areas, and making sure that those are also getting warmed up and activated before class, because it will help you work properly in class. Like I know for me, if I don't take time to do core activation in my warm-up, I notice that I tend to kind of revert to bad habits of sinking in my low back, not pulling up in my hips and things like that, because I haven't thought about activating the correct muscles to prevent myself from doing that before class. So that's another really important part of warm up, is all the muscles around your problem areas that are going to support them and help you to work properly.
Exactly. That's a very good point. And also, sometimes we think, okay, my knee hurts right now. Really, my knee hurts. And I kept complaining to my husband, oh, my knee hurts and my knee hurts. And it's like, have you done something to prevent the knee from hurting? I'm like, oh, yes, I did a little bit of a stretch. But it wasn't until I actually rolled my calf and then I roll in front of my shin and not even connected to my knee. It was lower my knee. And I was just like, oh, that's what I've been pulling. So play around with the other muscles, maybe the thighs, maybe the glutes, maybe something else is connected to it. So don't just focus on, okay, just my hip. Yeah. So that's really, And the last component and thing that you need to think about when doing your warm up is that mind-body connection. So you might find that, oh, wow, my hips are feeling more open today. Maybe your relevance are looking higher. Maybe you find out that, oh, I have my body weight behind me. I don't really have it over the toes. And you can start getting into that mood of the class, right? You start to understand your body.
Yeah, warm-up time is such a great time to check in with your body, because it's so true. I've been thinking about that actually a lot lately, just how I almost feel like every time I show up to class, I'm showing up with a different body. It's like every day is a little different. Like, what do we have today? What are we getting today? And so I think that time of warming up is really when, especially as adults, it's kind of you're going through the checklist of, okay, what feels a little off today? What feels a little tight? What feels good? Like, oh, okay, this feels pretty good today. So I think it's a really good time to be very aware before you're just jumping into exercises. Because if you can take that time to check in, you can start class from a place of feeling a lot more prepared and kind of knowing what you're working with for that day.
True.
Yeah, and it's different every day. So
now, Hannah, you have very good experience with this, a little bit more than me, I presume. Like how to decide, like know how, but like how would you make a long and a short version of your warm-up? What would you have in mind when you decide to do that?
So for me, I like to have a longer version and a shorter version just because the reality of life and being busy is that all of us can't always make it to class, the 15 minutes before, 20 minutes before that we'd like. And so I think it's important in those instances to have a short version of your routine so that you can at least do something. And then to have your longer version for the days when you do have the time. So I like to have kind of two versions. And for me, what I've done is I carry a notebook in my ballet bag, and I literally have my warm-up routines written out because it just helps me to. Sometimes I feel like if I get to class, I'm a little frazzled. It's like you kind of end up just doing nothing because you're like, I don't know what to do. So I find that having it written down, it's like I have a list of my exercises, how many repetitions, if it's rep based, or how many seconds I'm going to hold things for. And that way I can just really quickly jump in and have a really focused warm-up routine.
Yeah.
Like we talked about earlier, I think it's important I try to hit kind of all of my major muscle groups. So I'm at least getting some movement and some blood flow to all of the major parts of my body. And yeah, I think that, having something that's kind of your go-to is really important because like we said earlier, there's just so many different types of exercises. I mean, literally hundreds for every muscle in your body. There's hundreds of exercises you can do, which I think can be really overwhelming. And so having the ones that you like, that feel good, that help you feel warm, and just narrowing it down to those. I know you mentioned a few minutes ago, and I totally agree. Like if you're able to see a physical therapist or a personal trainer or someone who can help you set up a warm-up routine that's specific to your body, I think that's so helpful. Yeah. I have exercises that I do specifically because they were recommended to me by a dance movement specialist who is awesome and I love. And so she has really helped me have a warm-up routine that's effective for what I need in my body with having lower back issues and things like that. So I think those are all things to keep in mind, and some ideas of things that you could do is, writing it down when you find exercises that you really like you mentioned earlier, Google, YouTube, like you have some videos. They're great.
Exactly.
I incorporate stuff from your stretching videos.
I have one video that's going crazy. Is it 10 minutes daily stretching routine or full body stretching routine, something like that. And it's going like crazy. It's not old, but it's not like very recent. And Michael, my husband, he's like constantly, Jelena, have you seen this video? Everyone is stretching. I'm like, everyone needs to understand that we really have to warm up and stretch. And it's going crazy, Hannah. Like crazy.
That's
like
awesome.
Thousands of views. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I wonder if it's the one that I do. You have a particular video on your YouTube channel that a lot of times, that's another one for if you're at home. That's actually another good tip for having a warm-up routine is like if you're home and you're going to be on your computer anyway because you're taking a Zoom class or you're taking a YouTube class, I have a playlist of saved videos in YouTube of like 10 minutes or less warm-up routines. Nice. And so a lot of times if I, get into my garage to take class, I try to get in there at least 10 minutes early, and I just press play on one of those YouTube videos, get my quick 10-minute warm-up in, and then jump into our Zoom class. And so that's another really easy way to craft your warm-up routine.
Yeah, so we can leave for them a link here for some of the, like you can share the video that you like from my YouTube and other channels out of mine, obviously. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to share the one that I think is going like crazy.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode, and we will catch you on the next one.
Thank you for listening to After Class with Ballet for All.
Join the community on YouTube and Instagram, or come dance with us, our weekly Zoom classes for adult ballerinas like you.
Links included in the episode description. Special thank you to our sponsors.
See you next time after class. Podcast produced by Mission Bridge Media.